Hello and welcome to At the Heart of Health with Dr. James Marcum. In today's well-marketed world, it's hard to know who or even what to believe when it comes to health care. In each program, Dr. Marcum, a board-certified behavioral cardiologist, takes a balanced approach using common sense modern medicine and the ultimate source of truth, the Bible, recognizing that at the heart of health is love.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and welcome to Heart of Health. Each week we try to tackle some interesting area in medicine or healing. Today we're going to talk about something that I really feel is misunderstood and also misdiagnosis, and it's a problem that many people have, and that is the problem with sleep apnea and how to rest well. After all, we were created to work 6 days and rest one. We were originally created to rest at night. Sometimes we're just not getting that rest, and this puts tremendous stress on the body. And as you know, when these stress chemicals, the adrenaline and cortisol goes up, this damages the body, leads to heart disease, high blood pressure, and lots of other problems. Today, we're so happy on Heart of Health to have with us one of the South's leading sleep specialists, and that's Dr. Anuj Chandra. He's taken care of my patients, and I've worked with him for years. Anuj, Dr. Chandra, we're glad you're here. And tell us, what got you interested in sleep medicine and helping heal people in this manner?
Thank you, Jim. It's just a pleasure to be here. And, you know, it's a long story, but the thing was that I was practicing internal medicine. I have a background in ENT also.
Okay. Now, what's ENT for our listeners?
Ear, nose, and throat.
Okay.
And I was finding that there was this whole vacuum where I was seeing people who were tired in the daytime, who had, sleep problems, which were not being addressed. Mm-hmm. And I've, found that we were just not addressing the heart of the problem, but just treating their symptoms. Mm-hmm. And then I found that, with sleep apnea, 90% of these people are undiagnosed, even to date. And
90%?
Exactly. And there's over 24 million at a conservative estimate in our country who have just sleep apnea, let alone the other sleep disorders. And it's a potentially life-threatening condition. And here it was just, people were walking around with this, going on to have strokes, heart attacks, getting memory loss, being misdiagnosed as having depression. Mm-hmm. And so I said, this is something that I need to go out and reach out to these folks, and I can make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And it's been the most rewarding experience for me. I've never looked back.
Now, I know you're trained in internal medicine, but do you have to get special training, or can anyone just be a sleep specialist?
No, you do have to undergo special training. And there is a fellowship now, either a year or two after your, bachelor's. Mm-hmm. And at this point of time, we still lack enough sleep specialists, but the specialty has come of its own. And, you can go directly into it after residency in, any of the other fields.
Well, one of the reasons we want to talk about this, Anuj, is I really feel that sleep apnea is one of the biggest unaddressed problems we have in our nation. And it's critical that we get the word out, people understand that there's treatment for this, and this can help really get at the core of many problems.
I agree with you completely, Jim.
Now, what we've done is we've collected questions from literally all over the world. But before we answer those questions, I want you to explain to our audience, well, what would be a good definition of sleep apnea? We all know what sleep is, but what's this word apnea mean?
Apnea literally means pauses in breathing. Unbeknown to people with sleep apnea, they're having intermittent pauses in breathing. And a lot of them will not be picked up by the significant other, by the spouses, and by the patients themselves, because they're asleep. Mm-hmm. And usually it'll manifest with, people who are snoring loudly, waking up frequently at night, either to use the restroom, or waking up in the morning and they're still tired. So there's a lot of different symptoms and daytime symptoms that they'll present with unbeknown to them. And it can, be undiagnosed. The average delay in diagnosis is about 10 years.
And you could have a lot of damage in 10 years if you don't pick up on it.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Now, we're starting to hear more about, but when I started practicing years ago, we didn't hear much about sleep apnea. What do you think why is it so much more recognized today, but not nearly enough?
There's several reasons for that, Jim, because in the past we didn't have so much research into the field. People thought sleep was just this passive time. It's only from years and years of dedicated researchers at Stanford, at Harvard, in Europe and across the world, that we've found that sleep is a very active time. It's a healing time for the body. So we know now from research that when sleep is hampered, when there is pauses in breathing during sleep, the entire body suffers. And we know, and we have now that once we treat it, we can actually remedy a lot of things, prevent strokes, bring the blood pressure down, treat diabetes better. So, and we have solid research now to prove that. And of course, now we have better methods to treat the condition. Mm-hmm. So, in a nutshell, basically, this whole, the knowledge base has just increased exponentially in terms of what, the function of sleep is, and what happens when this is diseased.
Well, Dr. Chandra, we've collected questions from all over. They've sent them into our website, which is heartwiseministries.org. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the symptoms of sleep apnea. How might a person know that they might have it? We got a question that deals with that. And we're going to be back with you after this short break. I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org.
You can easily spend $90 on an expensive meal out. How about investing $89.94 in your future? Just think about the possibility of coming off those prescription pills and getting rid of all the side effects. Think about feeling better than you have ever felt in your life. This is all possible for you. For only $89.94, you will receive a 7-part DVD series, Weight Management by the Book, a 30-lesson workbook with over 100 recipes, and if ordered today, exercise tubes will be included for free to help with your journey. There are many programs available, but this unique program has identified the truth about how to manage weight. This program is not available in stores. This limited offer will not last long. Pick up the phone now and dial 877-504-9628. Operators are standing by. This call will change your life forever.
Two words for you. Pop quiz. Ready? Name any funny movie. A drama. Name a mystery. And one more thing. Name the movie your kids saw today in science class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
Welcome back to Heart of Health. Today's topic is sleep apnea. And when you think about it, 1/3 of our lives are spent asleep. And this is something that we need to think about how we're doing it. We want to do it well. We have a sleep specialist, Dr. Chandra, with us today to answer our questions. That's a long time, 1/3 of your life.
That's exactly right. And obviously God made sleep for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it's got a function, and we now know more and more about it.
We talk about on this program about all the natural laws that, we were created by, whether it be the law of gravity. Well, one of them is the law of rest, and your body was made to rest and renew. And when you break that law, stress is put on the system, things break. And nowadays our world is so complicated. We're running around, we're staying up late at night, we're gaining extra weight.
Exactly.
And it's puts stress on the system. Let's go to the questions here. This first one's from California. Dr. Sean, who says, my wife says I might have sleep apnea. So the wife's making the diagnosis first, okay?
Right.
The husband might not know he has it. He says, what are the symptoms of sleep apnea? And we've already answered the second part, is what is sleep apnea? But what are some symptoms a person might clue into that they might have sleep apnea?
Right. Jim, and it's usually the significant other, the wife or the husband, who will be the first to, make the diagnosis. So always tell people, you're asleep, so trust what your loved one's telling you, because usually people are in denial. One of the cardinal symptoms is snoring and unrested sleep. You sleep 6 or 7 hours, you wake up and you're still tired. It takes you a long time to get going. The other symptoms, which are seen and are not that well known of, are getting up to use the restroom frequently, waking up frequently at night, also nocturnal nighttime heartburn, waking up with headaches in the morning. Okay. Also blood pressure, which is difficult to treat, or you suddenly develop high blood pressure, and at the same time you're not resting well at night, you're a snorer, then obviously there's something is going on. And we know from a lot of research that there is a connection between sleep and between untreated sleep apnea and high blood pressure. Also, getting up in the morning with your mouth dry, just depression symptoms also have been linked with untreated sleep apnea. So it's a whole spectrum. But to summarize, if you're a snorer, having gasping, respirations or even pauses, and you wake up and you're still tired, you're sleepy during the daytime, that's a red flag.
Yeah. It's almost like you have sleep deprivation.
That's exactly right. It does put you into a state of sleep deprivation.
And I bet your brain doesn't work too well good the next day.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to have a surgeon or someone working on me that had sleep apnea.
I agree with you 100%.
Now, someone told me, this is a classic example. It says, my husband sort of sleeps like this. He goes, and it has an alarm go off, and he sort of breathes like that. And is that characteristic of sleep apnea? Absolutely. That's a book picture of somebody with sleep apnea. If you're doing that, you have it. You just have to formally make the diagnosis and, Now, can you ever quit breathing and not start up again? Or do you always have an alarm that wakes you up? Usually, you will, because you've got inbuilt mechanisms which will, as your carbon dioxide levels go up. But we also know that it predisposes the heart to arrhythmias, to irregular heartbeat. Yeah, I've seen that. And we know there was a wonderful paper from the Mayo Clinic which showed that there was a significant increase in cardiovascular reasons for death, dying in sleep, in people who had sleep apnea. So, you hear of people not waking up, and this is one of the mechanisms by which you can die in your sleep. Wow. Well, that only makes sense, because if you don't have oxygen, exactly, no one's happy. It's like, I've given this example, it's like living underwater. Yeah, exactly. And it's just a beautiful example. And you come up and grab a breath and go under, and sooner or later you might not come up and grab that breath. That's exactly right. But this is why I think not only our viewers need to know about this, but other healthcare providers, they need to think, anytime, something that might not show up, they also think about sleep apnea. Now, is there any body habitus or any persons you would look at and say, oh, they might have sleep apnea? Absolutely. Jim, if you're overweight, that does put you at much higher risk. Also, they have shown, studies show in men, if you have a collar size which is over 17, and in women over 16, and if you're a snorer, you're definitely at much higher risk. Then there's also, enlarged tonsils, your jaw, if you have a narrow jaw, a large tongue, anything which is blocking your upper airway puts you at much higher risk. So, we see the prevalence of weight going up every year. So I guess if the weight's going up, diabetes is going up, I guess sleep apnea is going up too. Absolutely. There's almost a linear correlation, a straight line link. As our population gets heavier, there are more and more people who are developing sleep apnea. And if they don't get that treated, then all the other diseases. It's just sort of like having a high blood sugar. Exactly. And it's a vicious cycle. It really is. Well, that scared me. So, of all the symptoms we've talked about, what's the one you probably hear about the most? Snoring and daytime tiredness, and non-refreshing, non-restorative sleep. And if you think about it, when people don't sleep well at night and they're tired all the time, they find other ways to compensate.
That's exactly
they start
right.
doing caffeine, or they
Yes.
add other things which
Yes.
also could be harming the body.
Absolutely. It's, like just, adding on chemicals to your body just to keep you going when you're not solving the basic problem.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we answered that question about symptoms. When we're going to come back, we're going to talk about how to make the diagnosis, going from symptoms to how to make the diagnosis. We're going to talk about that. And friend, if you're interested in sending us a question or even actually getting a hold of Dr. Chandra to ask him a question, go to our website at heartwiseministries.org and we'll provide the links. We'll be right back after this brief message.